Well, hey, what are you laughing at?
I was waiting for you to.
My eye is all red.
Oh, why? What happened?
You poked me.
I did not poke
I
you.
was peeping in there.
No,
and you
but that
poked me.
that big bruise on your arm, that's what you get. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's going away actually.
Yeah. Well, you can't see it so much on the
It
camera.
was pretty bad.
It was really
Pretty
bad.
Anyways,
It was big.
we just got back from the theater.
Yes.
And we saw Dunkirk.
Yes.
Why don't you start off with? Can you give us a brief kind of overview of the film?
Well, most of our viewers are probably well familiar with the story of Dunkirk. It is one of the largest rescue operations of its kind ever in history. And it's basically the story... You itchy? Sorry.
A little bit, sorry.
It's basically the story that takes place in World War II, 1940, of British and French soldiers that are pinned down basically on the shores of Dunkirk.
400,000.
400,000 pinned down by the Nazis, and they're surrounded, and they have little to no air cover. There are basically very few ships that are coming to retrieve them to get them out of there, and they're sitting ducks. And so the Nazis are basically able to just fly over and shoot them, pick them off. So Winston Churchill wants to be able to get 30 to 45,000 of his troops home. And so he puts out the call basically to civilians, any civilian that has a watercraft, to aid and to assist in the effort to go and rescue the soldiers. And so what ensues are, just boats upon boats upon boats going across the English Channel to the shores of Dunkirk to rescue the troops. It was, the true story, you can't ever really do justice to a story like that. But Christopher Nolan did an amazing job with this film. There was hardly any gore. I don't even know if you could call any of it gore, really.
No.
It was just a very compelling story that made you feel the horror and the terror that they must have felt. It was great.
Here is my take on the film what I saw there. And Joshua pointed this out. He pointed this out afterwards. Christopher Nolan kind of messed with the timeline of what was going on.
Right.
It wasn't sequential. There was no beginning, middle, and end.
Right.
And you alluded to it too after we were kind of talking about the film afterwards, that you saw briefly 1 week before, 1 hour before. And
well, they gave you a hint at the beginning of the movie that basically they were there pinned down for a week, and then they give you the little snapshot in time of the people preparing their boats for a day, and then the British fighter pilots in their planes for an hour. So that was your clue about what was going on. And
so this film jumped the sequences, and the only hint that you had is sometimes they would show a daytime shot, and then sometimes it was nighttime. Right. And that was the only clue that, we're flashing back, we're going forward, we're looking at.
We really caught it with the shell-shocked character who had been picked up because he was in the sea, and he'd been picked up by one of the boats that was on their way from Great Britain to Dunkirk, and he wants to turn around and go back to England because he's from Dunkirk. He doesn't want to go back there. And we realized, oh, wait a second, as we're getting further on into the movie, he's the dude that was on one of those boats a week ago. And now he's in this civilian boat a week later, and that's when we realized, oh, okay, they're jumping back and forth in the timeline.
This film, there was no beginning, middle, and end to it. There was an end.
Well, right.
But you didn't get that kind of sense of watching the film, and the way it was shot, it was almost like found footage. It was almost like, like here I am with the camera, because it did not. It looked professional, but it didn't look like stage shots. It wasn't a traditional, in frame. And
he filmed it differently.
Yeah, it's not in frame. Sometimes they're not following the rule of thirds. It's just sometimes
there's amazing.
Watching this, it to me was like experiencing the fog of war. There was confusion. You weren't sure
Yeah.
which way it was going, who
Right.
was who, what's going on. I'm not sure what just happened.
Right.
And you had that sense of desperation and panic
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
it. This film was nonstop from the beginning to the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
Like there was no emotional break for you to go,
No.
"Whew,
No.
okay, this is where we're at. Are they
Right.
gonna? You were just like, what?
Yeah.
And to me, kind of the takeaway from the film that struck me is you had the cowards, because there's a coward in the film. I think I call him a coward.
Well, there were a couple.
Yeah, but one who makes it home
Yeah.
and receives a hero's welcome, and then there's a hero who gets captured by the Nazis, and it was just like,
Right.
a
Now-
metaphor of life, I guess.
But the dude who was captured by the Nazis, we know that was artistic license. That part never actually happened.
And it was a brilliant. I mean, it was just absolutely brilliant because you saw it from this chaotic fog of war through the lens of multiple characters, and they
Right.
would blend over, and sometimes they
Right.
would be together and
Right.
not, depending on the story.
Yep.
And you see the cowards trying to sneak away from the war, right? Like trying to do whatever they can to save their life, and all the things that happen to them that they end up right back where they started because
Right.
of whatever.
And what did we see in Patton? How he dealt with cowards. Those dudes would not have been happy if they were American military.
You saw the father who was a civilian who
Yeah.
lost a son in the war,
Right.
who was going to go rescue these people with
Right.
his boat.
With his other son.
His other two sons.
No, the one was a family friend.
Oh man!
Yes, he was a
Right,
family
right.
friend.
Oh, that's terrible.
He just wanted to hitch a ride because
do
he
something
wanted to do
exciting.
something exciting and important, and he was only 17, so he couldn't enlist in the military.
Yeah, that was. I didn't realize that. That
Yeah,
was terrible.
yeah.
So we saw his story. We saw Tom Hardy's story as the
One of the Spitfire pilots.
Yes, and I thought he was great in that.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, he was
as he
wonderful.
was, you had this chaos of war. You had these multiple, like, we're going to follow these people for a portion. We're going to follow this person, but they still developed the characters.
Right.
There was good
Yeah.
character development.
Yeah, I agree.
In this, because this thing editing had to be a hot mess. Where they
No
were just
kidding,
like,
right?
What the hell is this? What
Yeah.
are we doing?
How are we
I
gonna put all
can't-
this together?
Yeah,
Right.
and I'm surprised. I'm really surprised Christian Bale wasn't in it because he is British, right? And he loves to use this. And we saw Scarecrow, we saw Bane.
But still, yeah, he does like to use the same characters, but they're not always in every film. Like Michael Caine wasn't in this film, though he's been in other Christopher Nolan films. But yeah, Tom Hardy and the guy who played the shell-shocked soldier, I always forget his name in real
Yeah,
life.
Scarecrow.
The guy who
His
played
name's
Scarecrow in
Scarecrow.
the Batman movies.
I
right?
don't know why he just didn't spray the Nazis with his fear gas.
He was also in Inception.
Yep.
Maybe
Tom
that's
Hardy.
why he was shell shocked, right? With Tom Hardy, exactly. One of my favorite characters in this movie, and people who haven't seen this yet, every character is actually a fictional character. So while the story is, the true story, every character is a fictional character. But one of my favorites was the father of that main civilian boat, because he was so level-headed and he knew so much. Because his older son had been in the war, and so this was important to him. This was very personal to him, and also because he knew, as the British did know at that point, Hitler was coming for them too. He was intent on taking over Great Britain, and thank God he was never able to do that. But this man knew if we don't go save these men at Dunkirk, we cannot hope to save England. We just can't, or Great Britain as a whole. And so I loved his character. He was so good with his son. He was so good with the shell-shocked soldier. I just thought he was amazing. So I think he was one of my favorite characters in the film.
Tom Hardy was mine.
Yeah, he was good too.
Watching him when he has his gauge damaged.
Yes.
And he realizes he doesn't know how much fuel he has,
Right.
and he's got that little grease marker
Right,
with him.
right.
That he keeps radioing. How many gallons do you have?
Right, and what
Okay.
time is it?
Yeah, so he can gauge
Yep.
how many miles.
Yep.
And I mean, I don't want to give away the. Well, I guess I would give away the film, but you just
Well,
see
everybody
his
knows what
heroic.
happens.
Yeah, well,
Everybody
maybe
knows
not, I don't know.
well, they know how Dunkirk ends. I mean, they get rescued. They end up rescuing the vast majority of the 400,000 who were, stranded. So that's not a spoiler.
I really liked Tom Hardy's character, and several times he had an opportunity to walk away.
Yep.
Like, because he was given instructions. You're going to go
Right.
do this for this period of time.
Right.
Then we want you back.
And
he kept pushing it. He kept putting it
Right.
off. He kept putting. At any time, he could have said, "I fulfilled my duty
Exactly.
legally. I can turn around and
that's
go back."
what I was going to say. It wasn't that he was that he had an opportunity to walk away. He had an opportunity to say, "My part of the mission is
It's done. Send
and,
somebody else."
and I need to go back because I'm running out of gas."
Yes, and he
didn't,
ran out of gas
because as
Right.
far as he was concerned, and I think this is how a great many members of the military feel, and back then felt as well. Your mission is never really totally done, because as long as you have brothers in arms that are out there needing help, if you are able-bodied and you can help, then that's what you want to do. And so that's what he wanted to do.
Yeah, and it was just, he could have gone back.
Right.
There was a time that he could have landed in the water right
Yep.
by a rescue boat.
Yep.
There was a time that he could have, ejected, and we
Yep.
saw that he decided not to.
Yep.
And as he keeps putting this off, he is saving
Countless lives.
not
Right.
just one or two,
Right.
tens of thousands of
Yeah.
lives, because he's taking
Yep.
out Nazis as he does
Yep.
it.
Yeah. It was
And
great.
it was, I think if I were alone during this film, I would have been a mess.
Oh yeah, I got
I would
teary.
have been like
Yeah.
snot in my nose, crying.
Yeah. Joshua and
And-
I read a good book about the Dunkirk rescue. For those who don't know, I homeschooled our son. And so when he was, I think, a junior in high school, so like 16 years old, we read a great book about the rescue of Dunkirk. And it was from the standpoint of one of the civilian boat operators. So I thought about that when we were watching this. And like you, I got teary watching this. I
Yeah, it was
definitely,
good.
yeah.
It was good. I thought
was very good.
I thought it was seeing that, right, and then watching Patton. I wish Christopher Nolan would do Patton.
Maybe you should email him
Yeah, okay,
and
sure.
tell him,
Because he's waiting for that.
right, that you would like
And
him
then
to
cast
do that.
me as Batman.
Oh.
The son,
Patton?
what is the? There's a Russian Batman.
Okay.
He's Red Sun Batman. He should cast me as that.
I'm surprised that he wouldn't be a bear.
No, I forget what it is. Anyways, well, I give this thing an A+. Would you give it an A+?
Absolutely an
Yeah.
A+. There's no doubt about it. It was the only thing I would have done different is I would have made it longer, because it was only 2 hours long. I would have made it way longer because it was so compelling. The time just went by. It went by so fast.
Yeah, it was a great movie. Great movie.
Yeah.
I would encourage you to go see it.
Absolutely.
You get a good piece of World War II through the British eyes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, we're familiar with the American eyes.
Right.
I have become more familiar with the Russian eyes on war films. I don't think I've ever seen one completely through the British eyes.
And there's going to be another one coming out
With
later this
Churchill?
year, specifically about Churchill, which
Yeah.
looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah,
Looks good.
great.
Well, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.